Great evening and welcome to this week's Wednesday Word of Wisdom. Yours truly here, Prophetess Antoinette Jackson, here to share yet another encouraging Wednesday Word of Wisdom. Listen, I pray that you all have been blessed by the teachings that have been shared thus far. I thank you for sharing. I thank you for liking. I thank you for commenting. But most importantly, I thank you for subscribing. Because guess what? As you subscribe, you then have access to the new content that is posted every single week. So thank you. I appreciate you all sincerely from the bottom of my heart. I wanted to share something this week. I'm always praying. I was like, Lord, what do you want me to share? There's always so much going on in our lives. And so I'm a very visual person. I'm a hands-on type. I think they call us kinesthetic learners or whatever, because we like to touch things, we like to see things, we like to hold things, and it resonates more with us as a result. And so I was thinking about something, because one of the things I like to do, I like to cook. I just like to cook. I don't profess to be a great cook. However, I do know that those that have had the opportunity to enjoy some of my vittles, as I call them, have certainly enjoyed them. My husband is very picky. Okay, he is very picky. And so when he compliments something that I prepare that he might not have had before, and he likes it, then it certainly kind of boosts my ego a little bit, because he likes it, and he's just simple. He could eat chicken, he could eat fried chicken and a ham sandwich, I think, every single day of his life. However, that's neither here nor there, but it is great to know that there are those that enjoy the things that we prepare. But, I'm often asked, in fact, I cooked some macaroni and cheese over the weekend. And one of my good friends, she took a plate home and took it to her son. And her son was like, "Oh my gosh, Mom, you need to get the recipe from Auntie Tony." And so she asked me about it, and I said, I don't have a recipe. I really don't have a recipe. Now, there are times when I use this little thing, my measuring cup. I may measure out a little bit of milk, maybe a little bit of half and half. But let me just tell you, normally I just simply use or add ingredients for taste and for preference. I don't particularly care for recipes, because one, I'm impatient. Okay, I'm just impatient when it comes to that, and I just want to get in the kitchen. I just want to enjoy the moment and not be stressed about making sure that I add enough ingredients. There was a season in our lives that I did indulge in the HelloFresh, the meal delivery, where all of the ingredients were sent. I had to do nothing. All I had to do was pull out the brown bag and grab the protein out of the drawer that went with it. And then I had to begin to follow these instructions. Sometimes it was overwhelming because there were a lot of steps. But the way that I enjoy cooking, and my preference, is not with a measuring cup. Okay? Stay with me. I'm going somewhere with this. And so I thought about that tonight. I thought about this from a spiritual aspect, because there are so many times that you and I know that I began to reflect about, just times in my life where I tried to measure. I literally tried to put my life in a cup like this. I wanted it to be precise. I wanted it to be exact, because when you're cooking with a recipe, I'm not a baker, my mom is, but when you're cooking with a recipe, especially things like a cake that are precise, you have to ensure that every ingredient is precise. So think about the times that you've tried to put your life and your circumstances into a cup like this. probably didn't work out too well, right? So let me just stop for a moment because I've just been talking for about 5 minutes and I have not even shared with you tonight's topic. And so I want to ask you the question, because I always ask you a question for thought, is how do you measure up? How do you measure up? And so tonight's scripture, I found this great scripture that excited me in 2 Corinthians chapter 10 and 12, and I want to read it from the New International Version. And it says, "We do not dare to classify or compare ourselves with some who commend themselves. When they measure themselves by themselves and compare themselves with themselves, they are not wise." That was so good to my soul. You talking about some soul food, right? When you think about the fact that individuals, and we have been those individuals at some particular point in our lives, where we commend ourselves, right? Then we try to measure ourselves by ourselves and compare ourselves with ourselves. And so if we always try to put every aspect of our lives into this cup, think about how complex our lives would be. And it has to be like just disgusting to just think about it, right? If we're constantly trying to stuff who we are and who we're trying to become into this little measuring cup. Now, granted, I have I have a larger measuring cup, and I could very easily go into the kitchen and I could pull that one out of the cabinet. But for the sake of this demonstration, most often when we try to compare ourselves, there is no context of measurement, right? We're just looking to compare ourselves to ourselves, by ourselves, according to ourselves. And we don't measure up. At the end of the day, we really don't measure up. And as a result, it causes frustration. It causes disappointment. We're looking at what others are doing, what's happening in the lives of other people. Why does sister so-and-so or brother who and who seem to be flourishing? And here I am over here struggling. I can't even buy a loaf of bread, yet I know that their life is jacked up because I've been to their house. They told me about it. I heard about it in the streets. But I can't seem to measure up. So how are you measuring up? How are you checking yourself? How are you ensuring that you are not, first of all, you're not comparing yourself to yourself? Because I don't know about you, friends, but I am a work in progress. And if I constantly compared myself to myself, then that means I am constantly presenting myself and positioning myself for disappointment. So how? How are you measuring up? I need for you to think about this scripture tonight. I need for you not to classify or compare yourself with someone else who commends themselves. Be careful of those that are so high on themselves and they're, as they say, the high and mighty. Be careful of those. Because it is important that you don't get caught in the web of self-entitlement or self-definition defined by someone else that has not yet even come into reality or come into the reality of who they really are. So how do we measure up? I want you to think about that. There's so much more I want to say about it. But I need for you to think about, how do you measure up? All right? So that's all I have for you this week. I just wanted to leave that with you for you to think about how you measure up. I'll share with you the scripture from 2 Corinthians 10 and 12, but don't keep comparing yourself to somebody else, because that stuff will stress you out. And before you know it, you'll be sick, You'll be tired. You'll be frustrated. You'll be a lot of things. So know how you measure up. All right? Be blessed. I'll see you next time. God bless you.